Well, hi, everyone. This is Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute, coming to you from the Fastener Training Institute and AIM Testing Labratory here in the beautiful El Cajon, California, on a day where we are seeing horrible weather. Trees are blowing down outside my window as I talk, so this will remind me when I listen to this of that. Anyway, today we're not talking about wind and we're not talking about trees. We're talking about some very generic screws and how they are often interchanged with each other, sometimes correctly, or I guess I would say okay, and sometimes not. And those two screws are what we would commonly call the drywall screw or the gypsum board screw, the bugle head, number 6, number 8 by inch and 5/8 type drywall screw, and the wood screw. The wood screw is a very different animal from the drywall screw, and oftentimes people will use the drywall screw in the place of a wood screw. When I come back, I'll tell you how you can do that effectively and how sometimes you shouldn't do it.
Thanks, Carmen. This is Jo Morris with the Fastener Training Institute. We have slowly been bringing back in-person training classes, and the response and attendance has been outstanding. While the entire industry is facing a surge in demand and feeling the struggles of supply chain, the smartest thing that you can do is invest in yourself and your people with training. This year, the Fastener Training Institute will present our Legacy Fastener Training Week 3 times in different locations throughout the U.S., plus the possibility of a Canadian class in Montreal. Los Angeles, Cleveland, and Chicago are our current city locations for Fastener Training Week, and they have been selling out, so I encourage you to enroll early to secure your spot for this week-long event. For those of you who are new to our program, Fastener Training Week is the training platform to become a certified fastener specialist. After taking the required classes and passing the final exam, participants are then eligible to become a certified fastener specialist, which is arguably one of the highest designations and accomplishments in our industry. If taking a week away from work is not in the cards, and I get it, we are also bringing back our single-day in-person classes with the same content. These are great standalone classes, or take all of them at your own pace throughout the year, and you will still qualify to become a certified fastener specialist. These classes are going to take place in the Los Angeles area and will run throughout the year. As in years past, the Fastener Training Institute is partnering with all of the regional fastener associations and the trade shows by offering training opportunities at most events. If you're looking for a class on fastener basics or how fasteners are made, or even something slightly more technical, we have you covered. These are fun events, they're great training, and it's wonderful networking opportunities, and we thank all of our partners for working with us. Lastly, and most importantly, please check out our website at fastenertraining.com for an up-to-date schedule, course description, and lots of information on current fastener events. We also have an extensive online learning library that hosts more than 50 training videos for every skill set in the fastener industry. Again, it's really been great getting to know many of you. Please say hello to me at any industry event, and it's going to be a great year for training. Now back to Carmen.
Quality products, quality service, quality customers. That's 3Q Inc., a fastener distributor unlike any you've worked with before. With its unique remote managed inventory stocking programs, wide array of secondary service offerings, and wholly owned cold forming capability, 3Q Inc. has been supporting fastener distributors since 2008. 3Q offers a wide range of 100% American-made fasteners, including ITW SEMS lock washers, as well as specialty and imported parts. Give 3Q a call today to discuss your needs and experience 3Q quality for yourself. 3Q Inc. www.3q-inc.com.
Well, welcome back, everybody. We are talking on the Fastener Training Minute today about drywall screws versus wood screws. So drywall screws and wood screws have some similarities, and here are the ones I can think of off the top of my head. They both function as a flathead. Notice I said function. Technically, the drywall screw has a bugle head, not a flathead, but it functions as a flathead. They have tapping screw threads or spaced threads. They have a sharp point. If the drywall screw happens to be yellow zinc plated, they have a similar color. and they have a Phillips drive in many cases. So you would expect with all these similarities, you could have some cross usage between the two of them. However, they also have many differences, and here are some of their differences. The material of a brass wood screw, for example, is brass, though there are steel wood screws, and they are not heat treated or hardened, whereas the drywall screw is made out of steel and it is heat treated. But believe it or not, the brass wood screw probably is stronger than the heat treated drywall screw. Corrosion resistance. The brass wood screw is far superior to the drywall screw for corrosion resistance, and the zinc-plated steel would be about the same. The point of the drywall screw is much sharper than that of the wood screw, and it can pierce wood and maybe even some very thin metals easily. The wood screw has a coarser thread than the drywall screw in some cases, or it can have a finer thread, but most drywall screws have a sharper, deeper, and coarser thread than the wood screw, so it's easier to put them into material without having any kind of a pilot hole. The thread length. Drywall screws are typically threaded to the head or pretty close, whereas the wood screws in the long versions are not threaded to the head. The head of the wood screw is actually an 82-degree flathead, if it's a flathead, and of course the drywall screw has a bugle head. So where do we see them interchanged? Well, if you're building wood furniture or making stuff out of particle board or even wood, and you're not a really picky craftsman, that drywall screw works great. In many cases, you can put it into softer woods without having to drill a pilot hole. It'll sink in, oftentimes without leaving much of a bulge. So just for some cheap wood assembly, it's okay. If you're doing the job right, you should use a common wood screw with an 82-degree head. These screws have a tapered body. They require a pilot hole. The really good craftsman will use a drill that will make a tapered pilot hole and also a through hole for the top piece and a countersink all in one operation. It's a very cool tool. You can only get those in woodworking stores. You probably would not find it at the Home Depot. The wood screw is commonly used to attach door hinges, and I'm talking about like your office door. If you go look at your office door and open it, you'll notice the hinge requires a flathead screw. Sometimes we'll see some people use drywall screws in place of that application, and that is a no-no because two reasons. They're not strong enough, number one, and they're very likely to break if you over-tightening them, and then you cannot remove it. There's no repair for that broken drywall screw that's underneath that door hinge hole. Well, as usual, this Fastener Training Minute came to me from a client who was having some confusion about where we could use wood screws versus drywall screws. You could never interchange a drywall screw with a wood screw. Wood screws will not work for installing drywall, so it would be silly to do that, so keep that in mind. Buglehead drywall screws are very good for other types of applications that are not drywall. That would typically maybe a wood screw would work. These are things like holding lightweight devices onto walls and ceilings like smoke detectors and thermostats and CO2 detectors and other types of small sensors and cameras. Electricians love to use these drywall screws to attach their electrical boxes to fir studs in the build out, and that's because they're very easy to use and you can put them in off angle like you often have to do with the installation of electrical boxes and conduit clips. And most importantly, they are really cheap. It's probably the cheapest screw that we have is our number 6 or number 8 by maybe 1 5/8 drywall screw. So that's what you need to know regarding using and misusing drywall screws and wood screws and how they have some cross application. This has been Carmen Vertullo with the Fastener Training Minute. Thank you for listening.